I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick and tired of vegetable eating people trying to make tofu taste like meat. It's not meat, guys, and whatever you're doing to it is just making it taste more like a wet fart. The thing is, tofu is actually a world-class ingredient if you know how to handle it properly. Today, I'm gonna show you the couple of techniques that I use to make tofu taste great. Then I'm gonna show you how to turn that tofu into my favorite tofu dish of all time, MAPO tofu. To get started, of course, I'll need 1 package of block tofu. I use soft tofu because it's very silky and tender, but still has enough structural integrity to hold itself together in a wok full of boiling sauce. Most standard issue grocery stores sell firm or extra firm tofu. This is the stuff that hippies love to try and make taste like meat, and it's not my favorite. Soft tofu, on the other hand, has a higher moisture content than firm, and the texture is so much silkier. That matters a lot. The texture is the defining quality of a great MAPO tofu, so I would say it's very worth going out of your way to, say, an international grocery store to get the soft stuff if your regular grocery store doesn't have it. Now, to cook this tofu, I'm going to slice it 6 times across into planks, then I'll cut those down into roughly 3/4 to 1-inch cubes. What I don't want to do here is move this tofu around any more than is absolutely necessary, because it's very delicate and scooping it into a bowl or pushing it around can totally crumble it down into a chunky mess. So to maintain this beautiful Cuban shape, I'm going to leave these exactly where I cut them on the board until I need them. And once the tofu's cut up, I'm going to drop a big wok full of about 3 quarts of water on the stove and bring it up to a boil. Once it's dripping, I'll drop in a big grip of salt. Then I'll move my cutting board full of tofu over to the stove and carefully slide it into the water with a bench scraper or the side of a knife. This is the best way that I've found to get the soft tofu into the water without totally breaking it up into ugly little half pieces. From here, I'll simmer for 2 minutes in total. And if you're wondering why this tofu is even in the water in the first place, well, boiling water helps remove a little bit of that beanie wallpaper taste that's associated with tofu, and more importantly, it firms it slightly. This makes a huge difference and really helps the tofu hold onto its shape during stir frying. And after a quick 2-minute blanch, I'm going to carefully lift these toafs out of the water and move them over to a paper towel lined plate to dry off until it's time to stir fry. If you're wondering if this blanching step is worth it, well, here's a quick comparison. As you can see, the boiled tofu is nice and bouncy and resilient to a firm poke, and the unboiled tofu broke apart. I was quite skeptical at first that boiling would make any meaningful difference, but it does, and I wouldn't skip it. Next, let's chop up the aromatics for this dish. First, I'll grab a 3-inch knob of ginger and grate it on my microplane, and I'll smash 7 to 8 large garlics through my garlic press. In total, I need about 15 grams of ginger and 30 grams of garlic. Next, I'll take 1 bunch of scallion and chop off the greens and save those for garnishing later on. Then I'll slice the light green part down through the white part thinly. In total, I'm looking for about 50 to 75 grams of scallions. The last bit of knife work before we start cooking is to thinly slice 4 to 5 Thai chilies. Be warned though, these little MFs are perky and they can easily make this dish too painful. I'm using 10 grams here, and that'll make this dish about a 7 out of 10 spicy, but if you're really sensitive to heat, you may want to skip the Thai chilies and sub in a strong pinch of chili flakes, maybe about 2 grams worth. Now before I start cooking, I'm also going to grind up about 2 grams of Szechuan peppercorns in my mortar and pestle. MAPO is a Szechuan dish, so the freaky numbing effect that you get from this namesake peppercorn is pretty important, but if you don't have it or you can't get it, sub in 3 to 4 grams of ground black pepper. It's not the same as Szechuan, but it's going to bring its own sharp heat that's nice to have. Also, if you don't have a mortar and pestle, go ahead and smash your corns with the bottom of a saucepan. This will basically do the same thing. It'll just give you a slightly more rustic result. Now let's cook this thing. For that, I'm going to grab my wok one more time and drop it on the stove over high heat. Then I'll let that preheat for about a minute while I think Incogni. Last month, I signed up for Incogni, the sponsor of this video. And since then, the number of spam calls that I've gotten per day has gone from 7 or 8 down to nearly 0, which I thought was impossible. I started working with them by telling them about the types of personal information that I didn't want on the internet anymore. And then they scoured the internet for all of the data broker and personal info sites and requested that it be taken down. Those are the types of sites that can leak information to the rat bastard scammers of this world, or the spam callers who are certainly gonna burn in hell. So far, Incogni has already requested 490 sites remove my information. I literally have no idea how long it would take me to do that manually, but now I'm glad that I don't have to. Incogni just introduced a custom removals feature where you can tell them about any site and they can add it to their list if it's not on it right now. As somebody who has a decent level of public exposure, Incogni has now given me quite a bit of peace of mind. If you're somebody who's sensitive about what happens with their personal information or their data, I highly recommend it. Right now, you can get 60% off an annual plan with my code Lagerstrom. That's Lagerstrom. This would be a great gift for your grandparents because unfortunately, they're a pretty easy target for those freaking scammers, or your uncle who won't even buy a smart thermostat because, you know, privacy. Link in description. Thank you, Incogni. Back at the stove, my wok is ripping hot. So I'll add in 75 grams of neutral high smoke point oil. Then I'll add in 125 grams of 80/20 ground beef or ground pork and smash that up as it browns. After doing a ton of reading and asking several people who have lived in China, it's not clear which one of these meats is more authentic or traditional, and honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. What does matter is flavor, and in this dish, there are too many distinctive, intense flavors for the subtle difference between pork or beef to really make that much of a difference. So I recommend whichever meat you like more. The final result is basically the same. I tried both. Once the beef's browned off, I'm going to add in 40 grams of toban. This is a Chinese fermented bean and chili paste that some people refer to as the soul of Szechuan cooking. Flavor-wise, it's pretty close to Korean gochujang, but it's less sweet and has a much more rustic texture. If you can't find it though, I would say gochujang would be a great sub. Now, once the paste is in, I'm going to jump in and stir fry it with the beef for about 30 seconds to open up its flavor and infuse the oil. Also, I want to mention that since we're using such high heat here, you really got to keep things moving constantly so that they don't burn, especially the two ingredients that we're going to be adding in next, which are 15 grams of gochugaru chili powder and the 2 grams of Szechuan peppercorn that we ground earlier. Gochugaru is a Korean ingredient and isn't traditional in Chinese MAPO, but it brings an insane amount of fruity chili flavor without an insane heat level to match. If you don't have gochugaru, sub in paprika, but since paprika is a fine powder, it will definitely burn in this hot oil, so add it after the aromatics that are coming up next. 1 minute later, the powder and pepper have sizzled up and infused into the oil, so next I'll add in the scallions, the Thai chilies, the ginger, and the garlic. Then I'll jump in and stir fry everything over high heat for about 90 seconds, or until the raw edge of the ginger and garlic are cooked off and the scallions have lost their crunch. Also, I want to mention that if you're wokless and you still want to make this dish, you definitely can, but instead of using a large nonstick pan, I would say use a heavy bottom pot like a Dutch oven. It's a better option than your standard issue nonstick pan because it has higher sides which help contain this very saucy dish, and it can handle very high heat, which will help approximate the temperatures we're cooking with in the wok. After about a minute and a half, I've got some softened aromatics here, but things are starting to stick. So to deglaze, I'll add in 30 grams of Shaoxing cooking wine, then jump in and scrape everything up. If you don't have Shaoxing, then sub in mirin, or if your Asian pantry is really spare, you could sub in white wine, or water would also be fine. After 30 seconds of scraping, the wine has helped release the bits stuck to the wok and everything's reduced into a paste. So next I'll add in 300 grams of chicken stock, 10 grams of soy sauce, 3 grams of salt, 5 grams of sugar, 1 gram of MSG, and 5 grams of sesame oil. Now I'll give this one more big stir to get everything combined, then I'll bring this whole thing up to a boil. Damn, dude, this thing looks demonic. It's gonna taste really good, but it's gonna burn my butthole so bad. That's why I love it. From here, I'll grab my boiled tofu and carefully flip it into the wok, then come back and gingerly stir it into this boiling hell sauce. Since we boiled the tofu, it really shouldn't fall apart at this stage, but I still want to do everything I can to maintain a nice, perfect shape, so I'm just being a little bit careful. Once stirred in, I'll simmer the tofu in the chili sauce for 2 minutes to infuse it with the flavors and to reduce everything a little bit. After 2 minutes of simmering, I'll come back with my spoon one more time to scrape up the bottom of the wok, just to make sure that there's nothing stuck or burnt down here. The final addition into this wok is going to be a cornstarch slurry. I've got 5 grams of starch stirred into 20 grams of water here. Now I'll give that a quick simmer for about 90 seconds to thicken up the sauce. For me, the perfect final texture of MAPO tofu should be stirrable and saucy like this. If your cornstarch is extra thirsty though, and your sauce ends up looking more like gravy, I would recommend adding in a few splashes of chicken stock and stirring that in to thin it out so that it's a little bit more saucy like what I have here. For me, the final dish should have an almost jello-like jiggle when you get it just right. And that looks perfect. There's clouds of tofu floating in a sea of hot oil and meaty sauce. And the two liquids are separate, but also perfectly intertwined. And they're gonna unify on the plate and in your mouth. Now let's taste it. When the sauce unifies with the rice, and then you get a silky tofu that kind of just melts in your mouth, it's really good. It's spicy, it's salty, it's sour, it's umami, it's fruity from the chilies, it's buzzy from the Szechuan, it's silky from the tofu. There's meat. We like that. It kind of reminds me actually of Midwestern chili, but on steroids. This dish just has a lot going on, and it's probably my favorite Chinese dish that I've ever had. If you guys like this video, then you should definitely check out my chili crisp video linked on the screen right here. That was my favorite recipe of 2024. I hope you watch it. I'll see you there.